Hey everyone, it's your girl Lauren from the Ex-Wives Lounge. I am so beyond excited to have my next guest here today. She's a holistic life coach. She's a mom. She's a wife. There is nothing this girl does not do. Welcome to the lounge, Katie.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with you.
So excited to have you here.
I can't wait. I can't wait for this discussion, and I can't wait to connect with you and hopefully help and heal all of your viewers, help them heal themselves.
Definitely think you will be doing that in more ways than one.
Thank you.
I think the biggest thing with wanting to talk to you today is I did not know anything about life coaching. I didn't know what a life coach was. I educated myself on it, and it's something that I realized that I'm really actually connected to, which is when you're going through a traumatic time in life, whatever it is, divorce, breakup, losing a family member, losing a friend, the stress, the grieving, it really affects your body on so many different levels, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of it. Specifically speaking about coming out of a bad breakup or a divorce, it's almost feeling like a death, right? Like you go through this massive grieving process. Mm-hmm. What exactly does the stress of a situation like that do to the body?
Well, before I talk about what it does to the body, I just want to honor what you said. It is a death. It's a death of a relationship. So know that, what you and your listeners have been through, that's a death, and we're going to have to mourn that and honor that.
Right.
But in terms of what stress does to your body, it shuts the systems off. Some of us are losing our hair because we're in grief over that divorce. Some of us are breaking out in hives and shingles. We talked about before the podcast started the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Right.
I think people should be reading that book because you may be having a moment of, oh no, I'm totally fine. Let me just keep picking my kid up from school. Let me keep doing this. But if you don't address the trauma that you've been through, it's going to show up later. So it's going to affect you on a cellular level. So life coaches are so amazing because I personally think most everyone needs a life coach at any season of their life.
Right.
But they especially need a life coach when they're going through trauma. Mm-hmm. And to talk about life coaching a little bit, imagine, if you ever played sports when you were younger, your very, very favorite coach and what that coach did for you. That coach pushed you to succeed if you're in soccer on the field.
Right.
Now, a life coach, we are there to hold space for you. We are there to listen. My clients love me because they don't always feel like, their words dumping on their friends,
right,
dumping on their husband. They don't want to bring that into their friendships, their marriage, whatever it may be.
Right.
So having a life coach is somebody that's going to hold space for you. And I think a really great life coach, they're not there to heal you. They're there to help you heal yourself.
Right.
They're there to ask pointed questions so you can find your own answers. I am not providing my clients the answers. I'm asking them detailed questions so they can find their own answer within.
So it's guidance.
It's guidance.
You're guiding them.
It's guidance, and it's helping people realize that they are their own healer. I don't want them looking outward.
Right.
I want them
Inward.
looking inward. Exactly.
Yes.
I help them take their power back, and I help them. My husband always jokes with me, he's like, you trick them into believing in themselves. And I'm like, no, it's not a trick.
Right.
I really believe that we are all, every single one of us is so powerful, and we can create our own reality. But when you've been through something like death, divorce, sometimes we forget that, right?
Right.
Sometimes we're not as connected to source, whatever you want to call source.
So we're more in survival mode.
Exactly. You're in survival mode.
Right.
And so a life coach can really help kind of like shine a light on the beauty that is still within when you're not feeling all that beautiful.
What are some tips, maybe to some women that are going through it, watching this right now, what are some tips that you would advise them to do? Would it be journaling? Would it be, meditation work? What's the small baby steps that they could take in kind of reconnecting with themselves, maybe before they're comfortable reaching out to someone to come in and help them?
I'm going to break it down really easy for you because I actually have a whole Instagram page that is just dedicated to what I call the 10 mighty steps. And you touched on a few of them that are already in there.
Right.
So let's just go over them really quickly.
Great.
So visualization. When you are in a place of pain, it is hard to imagine that your life can look like, walking down the beach and feeling happy and running with a new love of your life and playing with your children. It's hard to imagine that.
Right.
So we want to work on visualizing the outcome that they want, visualizing the life that they truly, truly desire. So visualization is a huge part of what I want people to focus on.
Right.
Meditation, like on my Rise 28 Free, that is the Instagram channel. I focus a lot on meditation. I do meditation 2 to 20 minutes every single day of my life. I never miss, not ever.
Wow.
And then breath work, 2 to 20 minutes every single day of my life. I do breath work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's shaking out that stuck energy in your
Yes.
system. So I think breath work is really important. I think journaling is so important. And for those of us that don't like to write, you can do a video journal. You can turn on your voice memos. But it is so important to get those feelings out of your body, whether it be through a pen, which is my favorite, but I don't always have time. I have a very busy life. But every single day, I at least get on the video and say, this is what's going down today. This is how I feel about it. This is where it feels stuck in my body.
Yes.
Like, I'm talking to myself, I'm narrating what I'm going through, and that is a form of release as well.
Right.
Inner child play is another step. Tomorrow I'm going to be going to Legoland with my son. Yesterday we were on a trolley and down walking by the beach. Inner child play, it reconnects us to joy that we felt when we were a child.
Yes.
So that's really important. And I don't want to take too long. There are 10 steps, but I encourage people to go to the Rise 28 Free. That's the Instagram handle. And it's literally, it's a 28-day program. You can do it whenever you want. I just wrapped up the 28th day yesterday, but I let it live there forever.
Right.
So that's something that anybody that's going through something, go back to it and just start at day one.
That's great.
It's not live, but it's always going to live there for people, and it will teach you things like visualization, breath work, meditation, inner child play, journaling, all those things that we need to stay healthy and stay connected to, let's say, our higher selves during chaos and trauma.
Right. Yeah, no, I really connect with that inner child, because I even remember when I was going through the hardest times with my daughter, I would sit down and I would do building blocks with her, or a big thing in my house is art. Right? They always say any kind of therapy for a child at a young age that really can't express all those feelings that they're internalizing, art is a really good way, or play is a really good way for them to let it out, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like it would help adults in a lot of ways too.
Oh, yes.
And when I first started, I felt kind of weird doing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm acting like a big kid. But then at the end of it, I felt so much release. And I felt like the weight was lifted, and I didn't feel so bogged down with, all the things that were going on. It almost kind of cleared my mind in those moments and gave me this like freeing space to get down and connect with my inner child, and at the same time connecting with her too. Because if you're a mom and you're going through a bad breakup, you're going through a hard divorce, your children especially need that reconnection with you when you have that time to give to them. So I connect with that huge.
Yeah, it's funny. I want to add to what you said is when you're doing inner child play, you may not realize it, but you're actually doing nervous system work on your body. You're doing energy work when you're doing that. So you're changing your vibration and frequency to play rather than all the other things we got to do as a mom, right? Like not always is it full of joy 24/7. It's sometimes really hard.
Right.
But when we're playing and we're actively playing, it's not like when we're building the blocks and we're like, oh, I don't want to be putting this block on another block right now. When we get down to their level and when we tap into that inner joy that we are all capable of accessing, something magical happens.
Oh, 100%.
And we feel free.
Yeah. 100%. And I always tell women that are going through the divorce process, don't worry, you're going to get to a place in the process where you feel a rebirth.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because you feel like you're in such a dark place for such a long time and you don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. But then you do get to a place like I am now where it's like this, wow, what do I want that next chapter to look like in my life? Like I want to be excited about it, right? And so I think one of the biggest things for me with wanting to have you on today is how can a woman start to create that rebirth process for her life? How does she tap back into trusting herself? How does she tap back into trusting her choices? because I think a lot of women lose their identity and then they stop trusting their gut, or they stop trusting making the right decisions for themselves moving forward. I think a lot of the reasons why, I've had to really tap back into my why on choosing the wrong person to marry. A lot of people go, oh, was it childhood trauma? Was it things you saw in your home? No, it wasn't. I was bullied horribly in 7th grade all the way through junior high school by the same group of girls. And I think what I did for the longest time is I just kept pushing it back into my subconscious, right? And not really working through it. And I know you and I were talking before the interview started about EMDR.
Yes.
And EMDR is something that really helped me post-divorce find my why on why I'd been making the wrong choices in my life, not realizing my worth, not realizing what I had to offer somebody, right? Not really knowing who Lauren really was. And I think it was because I was put down for so many years by outsiders that I kind of even questioned myself for the longest time, constantly, questioning your reality, questioning your truth. You start losing your identity. Very slowly, it starts getting chipped away at. So when a woman comes out of a divorce, she doesn't know herself. And I think it does help when you lean on somebody to say, hey, I need you. But I think as women too, that's also hard for us, right? Because we feel shame. We feel like we have to bury these feelings. We feel ashamed that we just went through a divorce. And so reaching out and asking for help, I think, is also hard for a lot of people. Well,
one thing I want to say is you are ahead of the game in terms of your self-awareness. Now, there's a lot of women coming out of divorce that they have not made the connection yet of why they've chosen that partner. They're still asking themselves, why did I do this? And there could be so many reasons. As you pointed out, it isn't always a horrible childhood.
Correct.
It very often is, but it isn't always that.
Right.
And for you, you've already been able to pinpoint where that programming started. So little Lauren that got bullied, the programming that started going through Lauren's system was, I'm not worthy.
What are some of the reasons why people come to you? Could it be family death? Could it be loss of a friend? Why people lean to you and say, Katie, I really need you? What are some of their life experiences?
My coaching business is very different than most coaching businesses. That I've been very lucky that everything has come by referral. I've
That's
never
amazing.
marketed. I've never done anything. So each client leads to the next. And for instance, who you interviewed last week, Brandy, she is a life coaching client of mine. And she, told you about me, and here I'm sitting here, and now I'm saying I think we should work together, because that's another thing with most people. Now I'm getting to know you, so it's different. With every single person I work with, there's a mutual interview, because it's like dating. It's 100%. I have to know that I can help you if I'm going to take you on.
Right.
And there's an energy exchange. So I'm going to bring up one of my clients in particular, because she is very open with what I do. Everything is held in a very safe place. But then I have clients, they're kind of like me. We're just very open people, always wanting to be of service.
Right.
And I can use their stories to inspire other. So I'm going to talk about my client, Nikki. And Nikki when I met her many, many years ago, was in just such a dark spot, and just coming out of the worst relationship and finding it so hard to not even go back. Like, she was just dark. Nikki's an ER nurse.
Wow.
And things were, and she was a referral from another client. And we started working together, and the work that was so profound that Nikki left ER nursing and now is a life coach.
Wow.
And she also met the man of her dreams. She's now pregnant. She's got a dog. She bought her own house. So my job is so cool, because I get to meet with people, very often when they're in a lot of pain.
Right.
That's when they find me, when they're going through a lot of pain.
Their
darkest moments is usually, but not always.
Right.
Like sometimes, I have a life coach as well, and I'm proactive about it. When I'm feeling really good, I see my life coach seasonally. When I'm going through something right now, my father passed away a week and a half ago.
Right.
So I'm hitting that life coach every other week right now, because it's just a safe place for me to emote and for me to break it all down, the feelings that I'm going through, and figuring out how to move them through my body.
And grieve. But grieve in a healthy, functioning way where you can actually grieve through the process and then move out of it.
Yeah, so I can still show up here for work.
Exactly.
And show up for my 4-year-old and go to Legoland tomorrow.
Right.
So that life coach is helping me get through the releasing of all of these emotions, grieving. And I really feel this is true. If I don't release those emotions in that safe place, that will lead to dis-ease, disease. So it's not just we didn't eat the right food or we didn't get enough movement. Stress, trauma, what we go through can cause physical things in the body to take place. So I do things that are preventative before they even happen. Like I joined a women's circle for nervous system energy work before my dad even passed, because I knew that there was going to be some rough life storms ahead. That's what I call them, when life is just not easy and running smooth.
Right.
And I have learned to look at life storms and see all the silver linings in them, because I am one strong, resilient woman, and it's because I've been through so many life storms. Right. So now I can look at the pain, and it's so funny because I've been using this terminology forever. I saw on your marketing the purpose and the pain, or I've been saying forever, I use my pain to make it my purpose. And I'm like, I want to go on your podcast because we are already speaking the same language.
Yeah, that
without
there's purpose
you even
in your pain.
Yeah, realize. So you say it is there's purpose in your pain.
Purpose in your pain.
I always say I use my pain to make it my message,
100%.
and it is now my purpose to serve other people.
Yes.
And help them through their darkest times, and not just their darkest times. I want to help them when they're feeling great too.
Yeah.
I want to be always working with people to help them become the next highest version of themselves, because we're always growing. We're
100%.
always evolving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I also noticed too that when I was going through the stress of the divorce, a lot of inflammation, right? How crazy inflammation can cause so many different things in the body. And the biggest thing that I did was I started going in for my regular physicals. Okay. I started doing my meditation. Like I said, I did EMDR, and I connected with my family. But there would be small little things that I would do that I even found were so healing. I'd go to the nursery and I'd just walk around flowers and plants and watch the hummingbirds and the butterflies. And I know that may sound so corny.
It's not corny
but it was
at all.
just like what do they call it? Like the reconnection with nature. It will actually help ground you. What is your feeling? What is your thoughts? Do you have certain particular things that you do in your day-to-day life that ground you, that keep you going, that, just make you feel like you're at your highest self?
I'm going to be real transparent with you. I hug a tree every day. And
do you?
Yes, I do.
That's one lucky tree.
It is. It's a specific tree. It's on I walk a lot. I love walking as one of my many forms of movement. But everything that you just said, the reason I had that little smile on my face is I'm what's called a quantum girl. And what I mean by quantum is I study quantum physics for fun, just because I like to. And you, that plant, those rocks, we are all antennas for the sun, light. So it makes perfect sense that being in the nursery around nature, it's healing you on a cellular level.
100%.
And now I used to sound like the biggest hippie, and I am. I went and lived in India. I'm definitely, when I'm not in a dress, got my flip-flops on.
I love it.
But nature is healing, and now it can be proven. So no longer am I the big hippie. I've got scientific data to show you that when you are around those trees and when you are at that nursery, you are being healed on a cellular level. Like the whole environment works together. The sun hits your skin and it gives you light information. It hits that plant that then emits, energy to you to fill you up. Like we're all working together. Once again, we didn't plan on going off into the quantum realm of things.
Right.
But there is a reason you find it so deeply healing. I myself, I do sunrise walks and sunset walks. Sunrise walks are my favorite because I'm by myself and I like a lot of solo time. So it's just me and the mountain. Do you know what I mean? And I love it. And I feel so connected to whatever you want to call it. I call it God. You could call it source. You could call it whatever works for you on your own spiritual path.
Right.
But for me, that is when I feel the most grounded, the most safe,
connected,
the most free. Yeah. And then I do sunset walks with my toddler usually. And, he's only 4, so I got to make sure he's out of the street. But that light, that specific tone of light that you get at sunset is healing as well. And being out in nature is a huge mindfulness tip for every single person that's listening to this today.
Yeah.
Connect with nature.
But before I had this interview with you, I was just thinking about, God, all the things that I want to bring up to Katie and get her opinion on, and why I would walk away from the nursery and just go, man, that kind of felt a little life-changing.
Yeah, do it as much as you can.
I have so many live plants in my house they just, I don't know, it's just the feeling. You know, I always have fresh flowers in the podcast room when I film. It's just, I have really reconnected with nature during the whole entire process, and it's just really helped. And so I would tell so many people that are getting so wrapped up in the hustle and bustle of their everyday, even if you're not going through a divorce, but you're just so, you know, you're in mom mode, you're in wife mode, you're in work mode, right? We're always going. We live in such a quick culture, right? To slow down and literally just enjoy the simple, small things, and how healing all of that can be.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm going to reframe it with words. Without you even knowing, you were listening to your own intuition, your own highest self. Like in my life coach work, I do intuitive guide work, where I'm literally channeling, and that's why we can get, you know, such great results so quickly.
Right.
But what I try to tell everyone, because they say, oh, channeling, that's too hippy dippy. We're all channels. Like I explained, we're all antennas to the light. We're all connected to that nature. So your deep intuition, Lauren, your highest self, the highest version of Lauren, knew that going through this, you needed those live flowers there right now. You need to go to the nursery. So I would say this to the very religious people too. Go deeper into your faith. Go deeper to God. Go deeper into nature. Go deeper into your spiritual path. Like, go deeper, because that's where you go within.
100%.
Within nature.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah. And I almost feel too, you know, I've really fully found my authentic self by going through that whole process.
Yeah.
You know, tapping back into all the things that I loved before I was a wife, before I became a mom. And I mean, growing up, you live in Southern California, you go to the beaches, you go camping in, you know, Joshua Tree, you do all the things when you're young. And as you get older, you really lose that sense of being connected to that, because we all get so busy with day-to-day responsibilities and all these hats we have to wear. And being able to tap back into just like the roots of life has been very healing for me in my process, on top of a healthy lifestyle and EMDR and all the other things to add to it. What got you into this sector of life coaching? What is it, a childhood thing? Was it one experience where you're like, I really need to follow this. This is my calling.
There's two ways to answer it, and I'm going to answer it both ways. But I will say I was the kid that was always in the self-help, you know, area of the bookstore, the personal development. And when I was a young child, my first memories, I had a very rough first 10 years of my life. Like, my very first memories were my parents divorcing, my biological parents divorcing. It was so volatile that the judge ordered me to go to court-ordered therapy because they were concerned about my well-being. So it was very hard, very hard. So from a very early age, I think I said, well, is there anything wrong with me? Did I do anything to create this? So let me look within, and maybe if I can fix myself, then all my parents' issues will be fixed. I think there was a little bit of that for sure. It wasn't until much later. I was a singer on television before I was a life coach. I was on a TV show called Pop Stars. And I met my very best friend, who I call my sister, but she's not related to me, but we call each other sister. And she became very famous, and she's a lead singer of this group from long ago called the Pussycat Dolls. And she looked at me one day and said, I think you need to be a life coach. And the reason she said that to me is when we were on that TV show, even though I'm the outgoing, friendly one and she's the shy one in our duo, she just came alive on camera. And I was the exact opposite. I was so friendly and talked to all the girls, but as soon as the camera started rolling, I go run to the bathroom or the craft room where you get to eat the food because they weren't allowed in there. I really didn't enjoy being on television. I didn't enjoy some of the other things that came with being a singer as well. So I was just like, oh my gosh, both me and my best friend both wanted to be Whitney Houston growing up, but she is very happy and I am not, and I don't know what I want to do now. And she was just like, I really think that this is the path for you, and I'm going to help you on this path.
She believed in you.
She believed in me, but she also gave me the idea. I think for a long time it was hard for me to imagine that I could be a life coach because I was like, oh, but I still got my own issues. And I didn't connect at that time that being a human, we're always going to have some issues. We're always growing and evolving. But that doesn't mean that I can't be of service to someone else.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I give all credit to Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls for
Hello, Nicole.
pointing
Big fan.
me. Good.
Huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan. I mean, I grew up doing dance competitions and, standing in front of the mirror and singing with a fake microphone and doing all of that. And Pussycat Dolls were definitely on my radar for sure growing up. And I think Nicole's just a beautiful person. I really do.
And I do want to add that if anybody is looking for like what they want to do in their life, ask their best friend, because your best friend
smart.
knows like what you're best at.
Yeah.
Knows your likes and your dislikes. So she saw the vision. Yeah. She saw the vision before I could. But once I could, then I went deep. Like, do you know what I mean? I went deep. I'm a girl that went to live in India twice. I've done 3 yoga teacher trainings in Costa Rica. I went to nutrition school. I went to life coaching school. Like, I really studied, you know what I mean? And not just to help others, but to help myself. Like, it's really, that's how I became a life coach. I so desperately wanted to help myself that I learned so many tools. And I thought, well, it would be horrible if I didn't share this with the world. So I'm going to.
Yes.
And then because it was so anointed and it was so my calling, that's why that particular business, it was just easy. Like, clients just came. Like, I never even had to think about marketing because
I feel like
it was the opposite.
The universe is showing you and telling you this is what you're meant to do.
Oh yeah.
Even with this podcast and the conversation I had with Brandy that's going to drop, this coming Sunday, is in that episode I say to her, I think I'm healing every single time I have a guest come in here and sit down and do an interview with me. I'm even healing myself in my process and what Lauren's future is going to look like even more than I would have if I had not pursued the podcast idea. And so I feel like, when you are purposely doing something to help others, you are healing yourself in the process.
Well, let's break down what you just said. So when you're sitting in that chair talking to me or Brandy or Jamil, what are you doing? You're being open.
Yeah.
You're being vulnerable. You're having conversations. You're connecting. So you are 100% right that every single time you sit down in that chair and you're of service to the world and mankind, you are healing yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So when I work with clients, I always tell them, because sometimes it gets really heavy and emotional and they're like, thank you so much. I'm so sorry you have to hear this. I'm like, no, don't ever apologize, because doing what I do is just as healing for me as it is for you. When I had my baby, when I was pregnant, and that was a miracle child, I was told I could never have children.
Wow.
And I had him right before my 44th birthday. I had 5 months of bed rest, and that was hard. You cannot move. And so I looked at my now husband and I was just like, babe, I'm just going to work. I'm just going to work. I'm going to be of service to others. I'm just taking life coaching call after life coaching call. And it really not only helped me through that time, but it healed me on like a deep cellular level, So when I was scared, that's the first, and then let me give that advice to people as well. If you feel scared, if you feel depressed, if you're feeling high anxiety, go be in service to others.
Yeah.
That is the quickest way you can calm those things.
Oh, yes.
Go be in service. Go help somebody else.
Yes.
And everything's going to feel a lot better. Like, as I said, my dad just passed away. I'm still showing up. Yeah. I'm right here. I still hit my sunrise walk. I'm going to go resistance train after this. I'm going to go spend a special time with my son. Like, I'm not, falling down. I'm rising up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's what anybody would want you to do, right? That's our purpose. I feel that's our genuine purpose.
We're meant to rise.
100%.
We're meant to rise.
When you have, clients come to you and they're in this state of, I don't know if this is something that's going to be for me. I'm sure you have a lot of people that come to you that are maybe a little pessimistic about the life coaching process, or most of the time, do you have people come to you that are very open to the idea?
Both.
Okay.
And I call the ones that are very open to the idea waterfall clients. And I know she won't mind me saying this, but your podcast guest last week is Brandy. They just need to share their emotions. They just need to get it all out.
Get it out. Yeah.
And then they're like, wow, I feel so much better.
Yes.
And then I have the clients where usually men, where I have to really dig. Like, I have to ask so many questions.
Because they got to stay strong and not be vulnerable, because vulnerable is weakness and we can't be weak because we're a guy.
Yes, 100%. But I have to say, I'm so sorry to all the women out there, because I love working with women. But sometimes I have such a soft spot for my male clients, because it's like they've stepped on a new planet. Like, they didn't realize they could talk about their feelings. They didn't. And sometimes I help families. Like, I'm the one male that I'm thinking of now, I work with his wife, and I also work with their child. Wow. And then I work with the husband. And it has been so beautiful for that whole family. There's so many times I work with the whole family, to be honest with you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. So what would you say to someone, let's say there's a single woman listening to this that's never been married.
Okay.
But she keeps settling in her relationships because she feels that societal pressure of, oh man, I'm this age. I need to start settling down. Oh no, I'm picking the wrong guys. What would you tell her as advice to make her feel like she needs to get her life on track so that she does attract the right guy and that she's not wasting her energy on the wrong person?
Number one is be aware of the programming, the societal programming. Like I have so many friends that are like, I didn't get married yet. Oh my gosh, I didn't meet my husband until I was 40. I did not enter a marriage until my 40s. Like, throw out that narrative. You are not late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throw out that narrative. Never settle.
Yeah.
What you can do if you want to call in love is become the person that you want to be with. Do you know what I mean? Become the person you want to be with.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say, as I said, I'm just going to be blunt. The reason why I never married or truly fell in that deep, stable kind of love until my 40s is because what I saw with my parents at such a young age, I went, I don't want that ever. That does not look good to me. I'm not, no marriage for me. And I did. Every single man that I've dated, and I have had really successful relationships, I said, I don't want to get married. You know, I was told I couldn't have kids when I was younger. I don't want kids. Like, that was the narrative that I created, and I was strong and resolute in it. Okay. And it only took one oops. And what I mean oops is my first love, where I was just so obsessed with the guy.
Oh, yes.
It was right before I was on the TV show. He was also like a very well-known rock star in Canada, not the US, thank goodness. But I fell madly and deeply in love with him. And for me, it was childhood programming. I love my dad so much, rest in peace, but I love my dad because he's an open book. He wasn't always faithful, you know, and that caused a lot of grief in his life.
Right.
And so I went for the guy that reminded me of my dad.
Your dad.
And it's funny because when he cheated, I didn't have a typical response because I didn't believe it until it happened to me.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, well, we can still be friends, but we're breaking up. And he was so mad. He's like, no, we have to be together. Da, da, da. I'm like, no, I'm letting you off easy. And I can't believe I'm going to tell this story, but I was on television.
Let it out.
And
the lounge does something to people, Katie.
Well, this is a funny story. So I'm on TV, and he was in a well-known rock band. So one of the groupies saw me on TV, found my email address, and right after we'd spent the holidays with his parents in Canada, sent me pictures of them in bed. And I needed proof, even though all of his friends were telling me, he's cheating on you. I'm like, no, I believe my boyfriend.
You needed to see it.
No, I needed to see that picture.
You needed to see it.
And as I said, my reaction is rare. It was very practical. It was just like, you've brought a lot of joy to my life. I feel really close to you. You're my first love. We're still friends.
That's great.
Still friends.
That's great.
We talk every day. We're Facebook
right,
friends.
right.
I'll put it that way. I wish nothing but love for him. And it's very
course.
interesting to watch his life because he's had several baby mamas now. Like, it's interesting to watch how that went. So I only needed to learn once. And then after that, from my early 20s until I was 40, I chose amazing men. And it wasn't the men that was the problem. It was me. I was commitment phobic because I can now see in hindsight, the reason I couldn't fall in love with these men the way they fell in love with me is because
you weren't in love with yourself.
No, I had a fear of being abandoned. And so I felt like if I finally show one of these guys my whole self,
They're gonna
like
up
not
and
just
leave.
singer Katie on TV. Yeah,
Right.
if I show you all the things that I'm not great at, my limitations,
Yeah.
if I show you all of me, then you will leave. And I didn't. It took me until 40 years old. And by the way, I'm life coaching up in a store. I'm helping people love connect. Like, I'm helping all these people. But for me, I am rare that I really enjoyed being single. It wasn't up till the last couple of years of my 30s. I was just like, okay, I want a partner now. I want a partner. But I love being single. I got to travel around the world. I got to go on tour with my best friend around the world. I had a fun single life.
Yes.
But really, I just was fearing partnership. I
were
never
running.
cheated. Yeah, exactly.
Running from commitment.
Running from commitment. When you hear commitment phobic, you're like, oh, it's because you want to explore other people. And it was never that for me.
It's probably more internal.
It's internal.
Yeah.
It's if I give you my whole heart, are you going to
Protect
crush
it.
it
Am I
and
gonna be
leave
safe?
me? Yeah. So I had to, when I was 40, I'm going to be blunt again. For me, I'm a very practical girl. I had a health event, a hypoglycemic event where I fainted. I hit my head and I went, what if I am alone? And what if I die alone?
Yeah.
And I went, I need to find a partner. That's what really turned it on for me. So I made a list of all of the traits that I wanted in a partner. And like I said earlier, I made sure I had almost all of them. Like, I can be a little messy. My husband's a neat freak. I love that about him, but I wanted somebody very neat and tidy. That was important to me. So I tried to embody all these things on this list.
Right.
And then I'll never forget, it was February. It was Super Bowl Sunday, 2018 in February. I'm not that into football. So I was at my other best friend's house. I've got a few best friends. So I said, I'm going to find, my partner. I'm going to find my husband right now. And she laughed at me.
You manifested it, Katie.
I manifested it.
Yeah.
So I picked 5 guys. And it's funny, the guy that's my husband, she's like, don't pick him because even though he's really cute, he didn't write much. And I'm like, well, maybe he's not good at writing. Maybe that's just not his thing. That is not on my non-negotiable list.
Right.
Be a great writer on a Bumble profile.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm going to pick him anyway. So what I did is I went
probably
on.
better that he's not a good writer on the Bumble profile, to be honest with you. Because some of these profiles you're looking at, I mean, I was on Bumble for a hot minute, and I look at these profiles, I'm like, who'd you have write this for you?
Yeah.
Like, this is not authentic. This is not you. This is somebody else. You know, maybe it was ChatGPT. I don't know.
Yeah, and I was very specific when I was looking at Bumble. Like, I am picky. I'm not going to lie. I'm
That's
a very
okay, though.
particular girl.
I feel like picky is made out to be such a bad thing.
It's not bad.
Why? I mean, granted, yes, it has to be there. It can't be crazy picky. But if you're picky about character, if you're picky about
values.
life goals, if you're picky about being family oriented and all those things, values, that's not picky.
I know my value.
Yes.
I know my value. I had my list.
Yes.
And then what's important with those 5 men, I let them all, and I think I'm not surprised by this because everybody's like, you were that open? You told all these men you were doing a dating experiment, and what did they say? And I'm like, they loved it. Men love to compete, right?
Yeah.
So every single
all about
guy,
the chase and winning.
Yeah, and so every single guy, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 dates each. I have a list in Excel, and these are all the qualities, and and I didn't tell them the qualities because then that would ruin the game, right?
Of course.
So like, whoever gets the most check marks win, and then I'm going to date that person.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
You're
so
serious? I need to do this game next time.
I've had people do it with great success.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
I share this with my
you're
friends.
gonna have to train me up on this.
I will.
The
When
podcast.
you're ready. By the way,
Okay.
we'll have to, if we decide to work together as life coach and client, it will be very important that we have you at a place where you're going to attract the right kind of man.
Can I be honest with you about something?
Please.
While we're on the topic, I try really hard to not talk about me very much when I have guests on because I feel like all of you that I have come on are just such special energies that I almost like just want to sit back and be kind of an onlooker. But in talking about me and when I'm ready, my biggest fear is I've done so much self-work for the last 3 years on getting myself in such a good place, buying a house, getting a dog, advocating for my daughter, getting her on track, making sure she's good, obviously keeping, a really tight, amazing circle of girlfriends that I finally have around me. My family's healthy and amazing. I'm so scared of someone coming in and just messing it all up. I'm just scared of that because I've worked so hard for where I'm at.
There's the work. You already, like, it's like we're life coaching and you're my client right now. You just, remember I said you're your own healer and I just ask you questions. You just pointed out what you need to work on before you're ready to call in love.
Yeah.
So the fear that you've already set up, you've set the picture. You've already done what I want all my clients to do if they're looking for love, which is everything you just said. Like, make your life your dream life. Yes. You have everything but that elusive partner, what have you.
One puzzle piece that's missing.
Exactly. But the work that we would do if we chose to work together is on what you've already come up with, that you're in so much fear that it's going to mess everything else up. Because let me tell you, because I know this with all of my heart, because I've not just seen it in my own life, but I've seen it on all of my clients' lives that have successful relationships. When your life, by the way, before I met my husband, my life was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But whoa, I am the girl that said I never wanted to be married for my whole life. And now I tell everybody, I love marriage so much. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love it so much because when you have a beautiful life and you get to share it with somebody on a romantic level, do you know how fun that is?
100%.
Do you know how it takes my breath away to even think about it. And then let's talk about life storms are going to come.
Yes.
I could not imagine functioning with what I am going through right now with my father was the son and that I just orbited around without my husband to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, to take care of my 4-year-old, to turn in and do all these things with a smile.
Yeah.
Like, whew, like, I think every woman deserves that.
Oh, 100%.
And you deserve that, but you know
Thank
that there's
you.
still a little work to do. The fact that you think that having a partner could possibly mess all of that up, that means there's still work for you to do before we would agree as a client and a coach that you are ready. So I still think you are not quite ready to do the Bumble experiment. We could start making your checklist.
Yeah.
We could see exactly what you are looking at, and it's big and small things. Like when you have not been married until you're in your 40s like me, you want compatibility. That's high up there. Like
100%.
if you don't want to go to the beach and do all the things I want to do, then sorry guy, you're out of there.
Sometimes when opposites attract, they work, but in my situation, it did not.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think the biggest thing for me moving forward is I want to find somebody that lives the same lifestyle as me.
Yes.
You know, I'm in the gym 4 days a week and I lift. If I'm not doing that, I'm at Grit Cycle with my favorite instructor, Chelsea. Shout out to Chelsea. I'm going to have her on at some point because she's an inspiration in itself. But I'm always doing something for me when I have downtime. Mm-hmm. And so there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to share my time with somebody. Like, I like having my me time. I like going to the gym and doing my thing. But then there's a part of me that's like, but what if there is somebody out there, Lauren, that likes to do the same things you do and can do them with you? Like, wow, what a concept.
Well, you can have both. Like, there's certain things I like to do. I don't want my husband on my sunrise walks. That's for me and God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want him there. But I want him doing other things with me. Like, we're both outdoor people. We love to go to the beach. Like, once again, like I have these weird things on my list that most people wouldn't have on their list. Like if somebody drinks soda, I just think it's gross. And so I can't date them. Like weird stuff is on that list, you know? And it's okay to be a little weird and a little particular. That's totally fine because it's like my inner knowing. So why do I have that weird thing? I don't want somebody to drink soda because I'm not just a life coach. I'm also a health coach and I know what that does to my body and I don't want to be taking care of somebody ill in 20, 30, 40 years.
I don't think people look at the big picture, right?
So it's a big picture thing. It sounds like somebody would roll their eyes at that, but there is a reason for my specificity when it came to looking for a partner. Mm-hmm. And by the way, my husband, it's so ironic. I think my husband saw me. I used to sing at all the bars in Newport and Huntington because I was a singer. I love singing. So we're almost sure that he would go with his buddies to my shows and we never connected. And I'm so glad we didn't because we weren't ready. 6 degrees of
separation.
Exactly. And he grew up in Huntington. I grew up in Anaheim Hills. We both grew up in Orange County. There's so many, I bet, high school parties that we were both at the same one. But we never found each other until we were both ready. My husband used to never want to get married and not have kids because he saw his friends having difficult relationships and he went, I don't want that. So we both had that similarity. We saw, for me, I lived it. Like I was in, my first memories are of two parents that just hated each other and it was very hard to see. And for my husband, who has great parents, they're still together. I love my in-laws, but he saw all of his friends suffer through early marriages in their 20s and just saw really dark stuff. And that made him, and for both of us, it was really weird because we're so deeply in love, but it was practical for both of us. For me, I just wanted somebody to be there if I fell, literally, and take care of me. And for him, he got tired of going on all these camping trips where it was always him and two couples, and he wanted somebody to go on the camping trip. And I love camping. So, you know, we both got what we wanted. And then it grew into this
beautiful,
it's just deep, true love is priceless. I think we all search for it, and it doesn't have to be in a romantic relationship. It could be with your child.
Yeah.
It could be with
I'm
God.
definitely in love with my kid.
Yeah, it could be, but
I can't tell her enough. I mean, it's to the point now where she's like, Mommy, okay, I know you love me. Yeah. But I'm like, no, do you? Do you know how much I really love you? Like, she is my why. She is my world. I am so proud of her. She is this special. I look at her and I'm like, you are the most amazing thing I've ever done with my life. Like, and I don't know how people can't look at their children that way. I mean, we do get so wrapped up in like the tantrums, right? And the hard, phases. But if you just sit in stillness with them and you just look at them and you realize that you created this little human being. I mean, I was telling my very good friend Alex, who's sitting over there, that she knows what mommy's doing. She knows that mommy's helping other women, right? And for me, that is one of the sole reasons why I'm doing this, is I want her as a child of divorce to look at this when she's old enough to understand it and say, mommy went through a really hard, dark time, but she's paying it forward. And man, she's really helping other women. I can do this.
Yes.
Right? I'm going through hard times in my life. But if my mom did this and turned it into something positive and paid it forward, I can do the same thing.
100%.
Because they look at us. We are their role models, right? We are the biggest influence on their lives and their decisions as they get older. And, you know, my sole core reason for this is, yes, I want to help as many women as I possibly can, and even men. You know, this is not, like I said, a male bashing platform. Men are not the enemy. There are plenty of good men out there. I have tons of girlfriends that have great husbands. Like I always say, I have an amazing dad. There's great men out there. But for me, because I am a woman of divorce and I am an ex-wife, that is primarily the grouping of people that I want this to target. But this maybe is helping anybody listening to this. This
Absolutely.
is helping maybe children of divorce that now see this podcast, or you know, an ex-husband that's going through his grieving process and he sees this, and I may not be an ex-wife, but he can take from this, from the life coaching, from the interview with Brandy, from the financials with Jamil. He can take little bits and pieces and use it in his, you know, forward.
Exactly. And I want to point something out to you is when you just spoke about your child, I literally felt the love radiating out of you. And what it made me feel is, man, the right man for you that will come when you are ready and when you've worked on yourself and let go of that one fear we talked about.
Yeah.
Man, is that man going to be lucky? Because if you have that capacity to love the way you speak, as I said, it wasn't just your words.
Yeah.
I could feel the energy of your love radiating off your body. It was so true. It was so pure. And it was like, wow, the man that's your next true love, that man's going to be a very lucky man.
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
fall
love him
really
deeply.
hard. I fall very hard.
But
and
now we're going to make sure, and by the way, if we did work together and you started dating somebody, well...
Do they get to meet you?
Absolutely. I do couples, I do
this.
mediation.
They have to go through the whole
and
panel.
They should. They
I
should.
love it. Katie, my life coach, my therapist, my best friends.
And by the way, I so often work with therapists. And like I've had clients that, you know, let's say, I'm going to say it's suicidal ideation.
Right.
That you do not just need a life coach. I'm speaking directly to the camera for that. You need a team. So yes, I work with people that are at that depth of loneliness that they don't even want to be here anymore. But you can best believe that there's also a therapist, there's a psychiatrist, there's a whole plan in place for that human.
That's amazing.
But I think the more help, the better. You know?
100%. I even told you before this interview that when I was going through the divorce process, I had no one to lean on. I had nowhere to turn because all my girlfriends were married and kind of all living in a very happy bubble. If that's not, you know.
I wanted to say this to you because you did briefly say that to me before the interview, but when you told me that you did not have supportive friends that listened to you and you had your back, all I could think of is those girls are so in fear. Those girls are in fear, so they cannot show up with you because they're so scared that something could happen to their picture perfect lives and then they would fall apart.
Yes.
So it was fear. And also, something that's beautiful about divorce and death is you really see who your friends are.
No, you do.
You see who's showing up for you.
do.
Like it casts such a beautiful lens on all the people in your life, and it really shows you who they are, but more importantly, who they are to you.
Yes.
Does that make sense? And there needs to be a pruning. Like I've got this group of high school girlfriends and I love them all so much. But there are certain ones that have showed up for me in such a deep way that I'll never forget it. And I'll still always go to the friend things and I'll still love them all.
Right.
But, whew, I have something special for the ones that showed up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't have any of my girlfriends show up for me. I had women that I thought were friends that actually decided to choose sides, and my side was not the one they chose. And I think for the longest time, you know, I'm going through this grieving process of leaving, being the one that filed, being the one that left. There was so much judgment that I received from women. How could you leave the father of your child when she's so young, right? Because she was an infant when I decided to divorce my ex-husband. And We don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Exactly.
We don't know who is suffering. We don't know who is suffering right now listening to my story, right? And is so afraid of the judgment and so afraid of people turning their backs on them and so afraid of saying, I need help.
Yeah.
That this was another fuel for this podcast for me was I didn't have something like this when I was going through the judgment phase. And I'll never forget my therapist said to me, they were never really your friends then.
Yeah.
They were never really your tribe. They were never women that would have stuck it out with you through other life's obstacles. Those were just people that had a season in your life.
Yes.
And now you need to find people that are going to be forever in your life.
Exactly. And I'm going to piggyback off what your therapist said. I want to say two things. First of all, even though it didn't feel like it at the time, it's a gift to lose people like that. It's a gift to prune the trees. It's like nature. Remember we were talking about nature?
Yes.
The trees fall and the leaves fall in the fall, right? So it was a blessing that those leaves fell. But I think, and I don't know if you've discussed this with your therapist, there's still always a part of us that goes, why? Why did my friends react that way? So I want to illuminate that for you. The reason why friends surprise us and they don't show up, it's because of their own pain. It's because of their own trauma. You know, literally one of my childhood friends that when my father passed tried to be like, oh, I want to come out, I want to do things with you. And I have high values. And I'm like, look, I don't want you around me right now. Where were you this last year?
Thank you.
And you know what she said? I'm sorry, it's just that other people have had cancer and it triggers me. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry for you, but I have high standards for me. And I send you love and I'm still going to socialize with you at the Christmas party. But no, you can't come to our slumber party where we grieve my dad. And I know that's going to sound really harsh, and I don't care. That's another thing about being a woman that's 48 in your 40s.
Yeah.
I am so authentically me. I don't care if this sounds harsh. This is my grieving time. I'm going to take care of myself. Well, the old people pleaser of my 20s would have been like, oh, just invite her. No, you did not do the work and put the effort in to let you be a part of my inner circle
100%.
right now. So in my opinion, none of those girls that didn't show up with you for you deserve to be in your inner circle. And the reason they treated you so poorly is because of their own programming, their own old trauma, their own stuff. But it's still not kind and it's still not fair and it's still super sad. And I'm so sorry you had to go through it. But I 100% know, I think you're already there, but you either are there or you will be soon. Well, you will be like, thank you. Well, thank you for releasing those friends from my life.
That's what I was going to tell you is I look back and I think if I had had so many people around me, I wouldn't have been able to sit in quiet and stillness with myself and do the work that I ended up doing because I didn't have a choice. I had to turn to self. To get through the storm. I had to put in the time and put in the work on myself. And if I had outside distractions, i.e. friends, I wouldn't have had that time, that space, that energy to put into myself. And that's why I am so far ahead of the game in my healing process because I didn't have a support system. So I had nobody else to turn to but myself. And so it was more of like sitting with myself and, like I said, journaling and tapping back into, okay, what are the things that I loved to do? Let's say I'm the last person in the world. What are the things that make me happy? What are the ways in which I can start turning my light up a little bit more and not dimming it and not allowing other people to dim my light? And that was therapy and journaling and meditation and heated yoga and walking through a nursery and being in the stillness of nature. Or I'll never forget, someone cut me off one day and I was just having the worst day. I think it was like a day before I had to go to court. And this person cuts me off and I'm like, did you obviously yelling in the car like sometimes we do. Did you not see me? And she cuts me off and her license plate, no joke, said, be you.
That's all right.
Literally, the letter B, Y-O-U. And I thought, okay, like, you're excused for cutting me off. Like, in that moment, I needed that so badly that is how spirit, God, whatever, presented themselves to me. It was like, slow down.
It's a message.
Be you. You're going to be okay. And so I started looking for all those little messages and they started showing up.
There's signs everywhere. When you are in the flow of life, you will see synchronicities and signs everywhere in your life. And by the way, I want to just you do this a lot in life coaching. I repeat back to you something that you said because it's very valuable and I want you to really feel its inherent value. All those things that you said, whether it be walking through the nursery, speaking with your therapist, journaling, that sounds like a way better time than being around friends that weren't really good friends to begin with. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're far enough removed from the situation that you can say, wow, even though that was so horrible that those girls did this to me, I'm so grateful.
Yes.
I'm grateful to let those people go. I'm grateful because I was able to step into a new, better version of myself, and those people were just not meant for you.
Yes.
For that next elevated
and
version.
And a new, better version of myself for my daughter.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when we're happy, our children are happy. And I always tell women, you're struggling so hard. Divorce is not something that I am a fan of. I never saw myself going through a divorce, ever. Because like I said, I have two amazing parents that have been happily, healthily married for 55 years. And so growing up, I always looked at them as role models. And so me going through a divorce, never me. And so when I was going through it, I just thought, I'm bringing a child into this. How can I make it right for her? This is my responsibility. One of the first ways to make it right for her, needed to be happy in my own skin. Needed to realize who I was. Needed to tap back into the things that made me happy. Because then once she saw mommy happy and I had this huge weight lifted off of me, then I noticed she was good.
Yes.
She's good. She's thriving. She's happy. She's excited about life. And now I can be the mom that she deserves.
You said something so important there. Now that you're happy, your child can feel that. Like as moms, we run ourselves into the ground, but really what we need to do is do everything in our power to be happy, because that's what's going to affect our children the most.
Yes.
Because they're learning. They're learning everything right now, right? From watching us. So put on your own oxygen mask. It is not selfish. It is a gift to mankind. I want to say that again. Put on your own oxygen mask. Do not call it selfishness, because the more you work on yourself, it is the ripple effect, and all of mankind is going to benefit from that.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is what I always hung on to and clung on to during the divorce process was I need to get myself right in order for my daughter to be okay through this process. I need to make sure I'm putting in the work. It is my responsibility. And I think I even put more pressure on myself because I was the one that filed and I was the one that left. So there was a lot of guilt around it. And my therapist always said to me, guilt is a wasted energy.
Amen. Yes.
And I said, can you explain that to me? Because in the moment I thought, that sounds amazing, but what do you mean by that? And she said, did you ask for this to happen? Did you purposely do this to hurt your daughter or hurt your ex-husband? Did you purposely do this to let everyone around you down, your family, your friends? Did you purposely make this decision hurt others? No. Well, then you should feel no guilt.
I agree with your therapist.
You did not ask for this.
Yeah, it's about intent. You did not ask for what happened to you. So you need to, instead of giving yourself guilt, you need to give yourself grace. Yes. So anytime anybody starts going towards shame or guilt, I always want you to redirection yourself back to grace. And then how can you get grace? So many ways. Gratitude exercises, just listing what you're grateful for. Yes. Go to the ocean. We're lucky we live near an ocean.
Right.
Go to the nursery. So anytime we start, one of the things that I feel that I've been best at in my life personally, this is not in my work, is I used to have the most nasty inner critic in my head. And I know where it comes from. It comes from feeling that my parents did not love me as a child. So it's like, it's all your fault. Oh, you're horrible. Oh, you're big. Oh, you've got, like, when I was on that TV show, all of us, I don't want to say all of us, most all of us had eating, we'll call them eating issues, disordered eating patterns. We'll say that. That inner critic was so loud and so mean and so nasty. I didn't get any joy doing all those things that sound really cool, like being a TV show. Now I've realized how to turn my inner critic into my inner cheerleader, and it's a whole different ball game.
That's huge.
It's joyful.
Yes.
It's from pain to joy.
Yes.
So it's really giving. I'm thinking of Gabby Bernstein right now. She does a lot of talking lately about internal family systems. Look that up if you've never heard of it. IFS. And so that inner critic thinks it's protecting us, but really it's hurting us. So we got to give it a different job. So let's turn that inner critic into our inner cheerleader.
Inner cheerleader.
We're going to change your job description and you're going to like it because it's a lot more fun to be kind to yourself and go, I am awesome. I do a lot of affirmation work with my clients, with myself, with my child. We do affirmation work every day.
You and I spoke about this with what I do with my daughter.
Exactly.
In the mirror.
So instead of, most humans do this from time to time, they look in the mirror and they go, not anymore. I mean, I wasted decades of my life criticizing what I saw in a mirror. And now I'm like, you are beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, I feel you. Like, oh, it feels so much better.
I want to be your mirror, Katie.
Yeah.
That is a really special position for that mirror. That mirror's one lucky mirror.
Yeah. And it's just life-changing. Like, I like myself. I love myself. I think I'm beautiful. Like, it's way better than those first few decades of just total self-hate and self-loathing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think one of the biggest things too in going through this process too is mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
Shifting that mindset to not play the victim role.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
that's
a lot of
changing the story as well. Like, I'm just going to be so blunt. I'm into radical acceptance. And that means you can't be the victim. I've had so many traumas in my life, like really hardcore traumas. I'm over 18. I'm responsible for my own path. I am not the victim.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we have to let go of that victim mentality and learn and grow from the pain that we've experienced, because that pain, even if we can't see it yet, is making us stronger, more resilient. Look at you. You're gifting mankind
Thank you.
all this wisdom because of the pain you went through.
I feel grateful and honored that people give me their time to listen to this. I feel, my whole motto in the very beginning of creating this podcast, I tell everybody around me, if I help one woman, my job is complete. Yeah. One. That was my goal. As long as I know I'm helping, I will keep working my butt off to make sure that this podcast does not go anywhere, because that is my sole purpose. It's an authentic reason. It's a genuine reason. It comes from the deepest, darkest part of my soul. Like I said, I didn't go through all that pain of not having anybody to lean on. I didn't go through the pain of the judgment and the upheaval of the divorce. I went through all of it to not only find Lauren again, to pay it forward and be the best role model I can as a mom for my daughter. Yeah. But now to help as many people as I possibly can.
I love that. And I know that you will. And you know why I know that you will? Because I can feel your authenticity. I can feel your truth. And I can feel your intention behind this podcast.
Thank you.
It is to help and serve others. So I'm excited to watch it grow because I know it will.
Well, I really appreciate your time, you being here. You're going through a lot of personal stuff at the moment. So the fact that you came here and joined us today means the world to me.
Oh, and it is my pleasure. And there's nothing I'd rather be doing, like I said earlier, when I'm in pain, when I'm mourning the person that was a love of my life, my father.
Right.
It would feel way better for me to show up and be of service to others than go do what I did, in my 20s when my brother passed away, which is buy a big old pizza and a bottle of wine. So this feels just much better.
Okay, well,
I like it.
Maybe you'll get a pizza and a bottle of wine later. You never know.
If I want to, I will. That's another thing. That's,
you can do both.
You can do both. But that's something that the 20-year-old version would have just looked at me with disgust for going for the bottle of wine and pizza. And like, people think when they look at my life, because they're like, oh my God, I do walk about 10 miles a day.
That's amazing.
A little over 20,000 steps.
I love it.
I'm passionate about walking. But people go, oh, I could never do that. I'm like, do you think that me 10, 20 years ago, I was getting home from singing at the nightclub when I saw people like me walking up a mountain? I go, how do they do that? I am that person now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we can literally do anything.
Yes.
We just got to give ourselves a little more credit.
We do. And we need to get out of our own way.
Yes.
We need to get out of our own way sometimes. Well, thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
It's an honor and pleasure to be here.